Hello and welcome to the Rat Nest Podcast, episode 40-something, season 3. What's up, Jim? How you doing, man?
What's up, bro?
We're here, and we are with the OGest of the OG. We got two MEX on the line. What
up, two MEX?
What up, man? What's popping, y'all?
Man, it's really good to have you on here, bro. I really appreciate you making time for us.
Oh, man, you're a good dude, bro. I've known you for a long time, and you're a good-ass solid. You're a solid dude, man. Solid MC, good dude. So sorry it took so long to make it happen and shit.
No problem at all, man. That means a lot coming from you, bro. Like Matt said, you're the OGest of the OGs in the underground hip hop game, bro. You've been doing this a long time, so I'm honored to be able to call you a friend, man. I really appreciate you.
Sure, homie.
Heck yeah. Well, for those of you that may not know, there's probably only one or two of you out there, but this 2MEX, he's underground hip hop since what, 92, I think is when you first started putting stuff out.
Yeah, kind of like my first group, we put it together around 92. I started rapping like 90, but 92 was my first band of Mexican descent.
OMD, yeah, that was you and Cholo Lancinco, right?
Yep.
And then you've graced the stage with like hundreds of people over the years, but most notably with like Shapeshifters and the Visionaries, and dude, you've been on just about everything.
Yeah. Well, I dedicated, a gang. I'm 48. I dedicated a big portion of my life to hip hop solely. So yeah, when you dedicate yourself to something for 30 years, and you're from here, you know what I mean, and you got a work ethic like me, it's like you're always gonna. You're going to be part of everything out here,
Heck yeah, bro. And that's something you brought up right off the bat we could start into is your work ethic, bro. You are one of the most hungry MCs ever. And like, it never went away. Like your hunger, just constant, like pushing and hustling and always doing something in the hip hop game to make it better, bro. Like it's admirable. Any MC that's trying to make it can only hope to have as much like dedication to the craft as you've had over the years, bro.
Word, man. I appreciate. Well, the scene's been good to me. You know what I mean? Since I was young. So, like I said, man, when you kind of make the decision to be an artist, and the actual world accepts you as that, it's such a blessing. How could you fuck that up? How could you like not follow through on you wanted something to be, and then it becomes? So it's like, how could you not follow through on it?
So almost like you owe it to people is the way you feel like it, huh? That's what it sounds like. Like they give you all of this ability, or they give you the love, so you owe it to them.
You dedicate yourself to it. So I mean, like, there's no point in not doing something fully. Like, how could you half-ass the thing you love the most? You know what I mean?
Heck yeah.
So we mentioned that you started 92. You released those 92 demos. I don't know when you put them on Bandcamp, but I've been bumping those just to kind of get a feel of like how it started out and like how you started out doing what you do. And it's the Of Mexican Descent 92 demos. The shit is like a 4-track EP. It's super raw, like super rough, almost to like people give credit to Wu-Tang. I think 36 Chambers came out in like 92 or 93, like right around that same time. But they attribute it to like an East Coast thing that was like from, New York, and like that sound was kind of from New York. But I feel like the production, even like the beats and like the style of beats are pretty similar, like on that Of Mexican Descent 92 demos. Like, was that something you think that just came out of like necessity, in the sense that you were producing music made the same way, you had to cut it up the same way, you had to like input it the same way, so it has some of that like airiness and that openness? It's not like
we were just young. I mean, I was 19, I think, when we were doing those. So it was just it's always about the producers that you have around you.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, I mean, in 92, we only had 2 or 3 producers. So, one was this dude named DJ Shoshone, this white dude from Santa Monica who was like part Native American. And, he probably had the most advanced sound. And then we were dealing with my homie Ill Brother Chat, who ended up putting out a Mexican Descent's first album in 97. But yeah, there was all the producers we had around us were just like, when you first start making music, it's really about the first people that you find that take the time to record with you. And so, that demo is like a CVE, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We were already at the Good Life, so CVE, and, our first wave of producers you know, we were always spoiled from the beginning, man. My first producer was DJ Khalil, who produced 50 Cent, Jay-Z, Eminem. I mean, at 17 years old, 18 years old, we had DJ Khalil producing for us. So I've always had Evidence and Kiku and Redmatic and, you know, Omid, Beneath the Surface, DJ Nobody. We were always Fat Jack. We were always blessed with people more talented on the production tip. So, you know, we were always right from the top, had people around us that were dedicating themselves to beats the way we were dedicating ourselves to rhymes, you know?
Were those like studios, or was that like someone's house that you would go to and they'd have like a setup?
It'd be somebody's house. Well, DJ Khalil had a studio in Crescent Heights, California for some demos, but the first real recording, that demo in particular, was done in Santa Monica and in a house. This dude, DJ Shoshone. It was this dude, DJ Shoshone, and this other dude named Casey. Oh man, what's Casey Storm, who's actually an Academy Award, multi-Academy Award winning set designer. He does all the costumes and the sets for all the movies by like Spike Jones and all, like this dude's like a Academy Award winning dude. He used to be a rapper. He was a rapper named Casey Storm, and they were called 4-Step Plan. He was white dude, and the Shoshone, they were like two white dudes, and they were really early on. I don't know how we ran across them, but they produced for us. Like they were the first people to be like, come over and make demos. So that demo is a representation of working with them, you know?
Sure.
So back then when you were like first getting started in it and like early on, who were you looking up to? Like who were your role models or your heroes in the game that like we can attribute 2Mex's rap career to?
Oh, I grew up heavily influenced by East Coast hip hop. The first wave. I mean, I listened to Sugar Hill Gang and shit, but I wasn't influenced by that. I was influenced by Run DMC and Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh.
Yeah.
And then most importantly, I think I was influenced by the 88 hip hop movement from KRS-One, X-Clan, Poor Righteous Teachers, Beastie Boys, LL Cool J, all that New York Def Jam shit, all that Big Daddy Kane, Biz Markie, all the what they call the golden era. I was, you know, you figure I was born in 70, I was 14, 15 listening to that. So that's the golden era. For me, I was lucky enough to be 13, 14, 15 during the golden era of hip hop. So of course I absorbed the shit out of it, you know?
Heck yeah. When you dive in and there's so much content like those dudes were putting out in that golden era, it's like impossible not to just envelop yourself in it.
Yeah. Well, I used to get bussed. I'm from LA and I used to get bussed out. There was like a city program that would bus students from the inner city out to like, I went to junior high. I went to 9th grade in Brentwood, California, and I went to high school at Pacific Palisades. So we would get bussed out to the west side, and the bus driver every morning, imagine for 3 to 4 years, every morning at 7 a.m., you would take like a 1 hour ride, and at 3 p.m., once again, when school's over to go home, you take a 1 hour ride. So 2 hours a day for 4 years, we would be on a bus, and the bus driver would be like, if you shut up, I'll play K-Day.
Yeah.
Like if you guys shut up. So the whole bus would be like, shut up, shut up, shut up. And dude, imagine a bus driver bumping K-Day, bumping KDAY in the golden era for 2 hours a day for 4 years. And imagine driving and being in a bus, driving up Malibu, driving up PCH, listening to golden era hip hop for years.
Dude, that's rad. That
was our inadvertently, those bus drivers or that bus driver put us up on. I mean, I was listening to K-Day anyway when I got home, but it was just like putting us up every morning from 7 to 8 and then from 3 to 4 listening, bumping hip hop, like golden era hip hop. So, you know, it was easy to be influenced by that.
Heck yeah. Yo, that reminds me of the time that me and Sully met you down at the Nokia Theater, and we went to that show. It was the golden era hip hop, or they said something. It was like EPMD. It had Run DMC was there. That. Remember that? And like DMX
Naughty by
headlined at the
Nature
end.
and DMX and all that.
Yeah, that was wild. I remember that day looking like watching you watch these cats like, and you had stars in your eyes, you know what I mean? And that I totally remember that now. Like that was a dope ass day. You got to see all of these dudes that, to be honest with you, were way before my time. You know what I mean? I was super young when they were in the heyday, but being able to watch you, who I look up to, being around watching the dudes that you were looking up to, that was a rad ass day for sure.
Oh, bro, EPMD and shit. That was one of my top 5 rap groups of all time.
Heck yeah.
EPMD, fucking Slick Rick, EPMD. I mean, those were just some of my Big Daddy Kane. Like, I mean, yeah, I was completely influenced by that. You know what I mean? Like that era was everything to me. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a fan. You know what I mean?
Right. Heck yeah.
I'm still a fan, bro. Like I will go see a show. Right now, because of COVID and everything, nobody goes anywhere. But I used to fucking go. If one of my heroes was playing a show, I don't care if there was 30, 40 people there, I would go, like, to go see Nice and Smooth and Dana Dane, or, you know what I mean? I'm just a fan at the end of the day too, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of fans, you probably have one of the hardest fan bases in the game, bro. Like your fans are die hard. Like you got Raider fans, like Raider type of dedication in your fandom, bro. What do you attribute to that? How did you cultivate that? And when did that really start for you?
I think, well, the thing about a Mexican descent, it started in the beginning. You know, you got the Good Life Cafe and all that, but of Mexican descent, me and Cholo, like, we didn't really know it at the time because we're 19 years old, you know what I'm saying, 20. But, we're kind of part of the second wave of Chicano hip hop. The first wave being Lighter Shade of Brown and OGs like Kid Frost and shit like that. But me and Danny, me and Cholo, the thing about us that we didn't, we were more like I said, I was really into, let's say, KRS-One. So when I heard the first wave of Chicano rap, it's not that I didn't like it or anything. I mean, I grew to really respect Kid Frost and see for his skills and what he does and his influence and shit. But like Lighter Shade of Brown and all that, I respect all those brothers. But now, you know what I mean? But back then, I just rapping about lowriders and women just wasn't something that I grew up. I mean, I grew up in the hood, but it just wasn't something I was interested in. So while me and Cholo were kind of like, well, where's the Mexican KRS-One? Where's the Mexican X Clan? Where's that at? And so like while we were searching for that, we kind of became that kind of thing because we were searching for it. So we were influenced by those kind of artists. So we were making stuff more into that. I was already into third base and shit. Mm-hmm. I was into like all kinds of like, I was just to deeper thoughts, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, I used to listen to this show when I was little, man. It was called Dr. Demento.
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember Dr. Demento? I don't know if you know about that guy.
Yeah, it was like before our time. It was like in the mid 80s, late 80s.
Oh man, and this dude was like a weird ass dude that would play weird ass music. Like he would play like Weird Al Yankovic and all these comedy songs. But the thing about that show, the Dr. Demento show, was that he was playing music from the 30s and the 40s and jazz and all this other shit. And a lot of the songs were funny, but a lot of the songs were incredibly intelligent. And so as a kid, listening to music that wasn't what's on the radio, normally on the radio, you're talking about fools rapping they were rapping in the 30s and the 40s.
Yep.
And they were talking about all this wild shit. And they were rapping in alliteration and rapping in crazy ass styles and talking other languages and shit. And so I was just fascinated by that. The fact that you can make music about anything. Like these fools would have songs about everything. So it's like when me and Danny started making music, we didn't want to limit ourselves to being like, oh, we're Mexican, let's use salsa beats or let's use Mexican horns and let's do, we consciously made an effort to avoid all those typical stereotypes.
Well, and it sounds like
something different.
And it sounds like
because we became that, a lot of people, that's why we have a cult following because of Mexican descent. For a lot of Mexican artists or fans, we were like a flashpoint of like, man, look at these Mexican guys rapping deeper things.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And it became, and even though we didn't sell a lot of records, we became a point of pride for a whole generation of people that were like, man, that shit's different. You know what I mean? They're rapping about time and space and shit like that.
Hell yeah.
And so that was the thing. So inadvertently, of Mexican Descent built a cult following just on the fact that at the time there wasn't anybody else. You know, we were at the forefront of Chicano rappers trying to be more critical thinkers. I read a lot of books. Well, I was reading a lot, incredibly reading a lot. I was watching a lot of British television. I was watching the news. So my vocabulary was, you know, Mexicans used to hate on my vocab because I was speaking differently than just the normal ass East LA fool, you know?
uh-huh.
And so, you know, my homies used to always talk shit to me at first.
Dude, I mean, it still comes through when I listen to the stuff now, you know, 20 years later, like even the stuff from back in the day, it's like, it's so much more conscious and like so much more like, I don't know, upper level compared to like the mumble rap and all this bullshit. Like, it's almost like it's going back. It's reverting a little bit to like, I'm gangsta. I got money. I got guns. I got jewelry. And like, none of your shit is really like that. Like there's thug shit in it, but there's also a lot of conscious and like higher thinking in it.
Yeah. And that's, oh, hold on. Oh shit. And that was the point. That was the point. Of Mexican Descent. Like I said, inadvertently, while we were searching for where are the Mexican KRS-Ones and the Mexican, those kind of bands, you know, inadvertently, while we were searching for that, we kind of became those kind of bands.
Yeah. You started feeding the masses something that they didn't know that they were hungry for.
Yeah. Well, and then we went to the Good Life Cafe and then got exposed to even more styles and thoughts and Freestyle Fellowship and Volume 10 and Medusa and Chillin' Villain Empire and Hip Hop Clan and Funky Trend and I mean all endless Jurassic 5. Like there was so many talented people around us creating original content that it made you be like, I'm gonna go home and make something fresh for next week, you know?
Oh, yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's wild. So you've gone basically from like I don't want to say like, well, you created something that people didn't know that they needed. So it's not like an overnight success because you guys had to push and put a lot of work into it, but it's like as soon as it bit, it skyrocketed, it sounded like. You know what I mean? As soon as people realized that you were doing what you were doing, they wanted more. And so then it's like, how did you find yourself able to keep up with that and actually like accept that, dang, now like we actually do have something dope here that people want. How do I continue this?
Well, from the first show we ever did, first house party we ever played at, backyard party, every time we ever rapped, from the first show we ever played, someone would be like, I want to manage you. So like every single time we did a show in those early days, someone was like, I've never seen that before. Like, what could I, we dealt with the industry a little bit. And so we always knew we had something. It just wasn't marketable and it wasn't palatable. Me and Danny had nothing, a Mexican Descent had nothing to do with our looks. We were just some fucking schlubby ass fools. We had no sense. We were not tripping on fashion. We weren't tripping on imagery.
Yo, and that was huge back then too, right?
Yeah, well, we were just into rapping, man. So we weren't, what we did there's no money and there's no profit in peace, man. There's no like, it's shocking when we first came out, like fools are like, shit is hard. But it wasn't like, oh, that's hard and the world's gonna love it. It was just like, damn, that's hard. But like, yeah, this intelligent shit or this conscious shit, there's never been an agenda to blow that up.
Sure. Yeah. Well, like you said, there's no profit in peace. That's a great line. So you just wrote a book recently. Speaking of great lines, you just wrote a book recently. Tell us a little bit about Word Murder.
It's basically a rhyme book of 70 songs, lyrics from 70 random songs through my career, mixed with 30 random poems like Instagram posts. If you know my Instagram, I'm always writing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every week I write something, or every day almost. Like I write little 16 bars, or little posts of little, you know, I try to write art, whether it rhymes or not, or like they're not really songs, they're just poetry. So this cat named Parker Pubs from Texas, who's like a big time fan, who hit me and was like, yo, I'm currently working on a book with Micah 9 and CVE, and I'd like to do a book with you. And I was like, yeah, I've been wanting to make a rhyme book. One time I mocked up a rhyme book my damn self, and printed it up just to see what it would look like. But he went the extra mile, did a lot of research, pulled out like 70 songs and poems, and then over the course of a couple of days, called me up and we proofread the whole shit. You know, he sent me a script of the whole book, but like I have some vision issues right now because I'm sick. I can't even read that shit. So he just called me and we proofread over the course of like 5 or 6 hour sessions. We proofread the whole book and got every word right and every line correct and every spelling right, or all the meanings right, you know?
Yeah.
And he put it out through, you know, just put it out independently. It's called Word Murder. And yeah, it's just a book, man. We already sold like 300 or 400.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, for a lot of people that don't, you know, there's a lot of people that don't understand my lyrics, and I'm not the kind of artist where my lyrics are printed on the back of every record. Most of my records are bootlegs and underground that don't even get treated like that. So this guy doing that was kind of a big thing for me, and the book came out great.
That's awesome.
There's been a positive response to it, and yeah, I mean it like, you know, people that really want it got it, you know, and every day it like sells, you know what I mean? So it's a good thing, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's good to have a book like that, you know what I mean? Like,
hell yeah.
I have so many songs that it's a trip that I probably have like 500-600 songs, and that book is like just not even 100 of them.
Right.
So it's crazy, but that just showed you how much I've written. But yeah, he did a really good job of picking out a bunch of songs where I think that are really good.
What would you say out of this, like whittled down from like 500 or 600 songs down to 70? Which one out of that is do you have a favorite? You have one that you're like, oh, I'm so stoked this made it in there, or something that like sparked your memory, like, dang, I forgot about this or whatever?
There's actually a bunch of there's probably some of the best things I've ever written that just didn't make the book because maybe he doesn't know about them or whatever.
Word.
You know, like I said, but there's a bunch of stuff in there, man. He really did a good job of capturing songs from different albums, different you know, moments where, you know, things that people always wanted to get a copy of, from like Audible Angels to Love Fights Back to it's really a hodgepodge of random songs. And to be honest with you, he selected most of them.
Oh, okay.
And so it's got almost like a fan perspective too.
That's kind of
sick. He went through my IG. He went through a couple of years of my IG and pulled out poems. And I used to have an IG page called The Poetry of 2MEX that I would have a poetry page. And he went through there and pulled out a couple things, and he just did a really great job of pulling out a bunch of stuff. So it's a good, you know, there's a lot of kids that have hit me up that are like, man, I always wanted to know the lyrics to this one thing, or I always wanted to know this, you know?
Oh yeah.
So
is it available on your site or just through him, or where can people check that out?
No, it's like 2mexbook.com.
Oh, okay.
Just simple like that, you know. I'll
look it up. I'll make sure we put it in the description of this episode and stuff.
Yeah, 2mexbook.com. It's like some publishing thing that's like that'll make books for you called lulu.com and shit. It's like you can print up any book and shit. So it's good, man. It's like I said, my goal is to sell 1,000 copies and cut it. So we're already at like 3. So, you know, as the year goes by, if we can get to 1,000, then I'll just cut it, and then it'll be cool. Like who has it, whoever has it, you know?
Yeah.
That's dope though, man, because like who says, like a lot of your stuff is a little bit more introspective, like a little bit more poetic than just like surface level kind of like rapping. And like, I don't know, just a couple, I've been listening to the stuff like for a long time, but even more in the last couple weeks because I knew we were gonna have this conversation. Is like just certain lines, like the first line off of Ghost Riding for God, where it's like, fuck, I took DMT, it told me to shut the fuck up, like that kind of shit. Or like you have another line that's like, landscapes look different when you can't escape. Like just certain things that I was like, damn, that's like super dope. Just it like would repeat in my head, like it would come to me like daily as whatever I'm doing because of like listening to, you know, what you had to say on the track.
Word, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Means a lot to me, man. That's what really means a lot when someone actually listens in the right way, you know what I mean, or gets it and stuff like that. My stuff is kind of hard to get if you're into just normal hip hop, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like I come from, like I said, Karis One and De La Soul and, you know, complicated rappers like Raz Kaz and Organized Confusion and Freestyle Fellowship. You know, I come from a school of artists that make that push the envelope. So I was such a fan of that kind of stuff. I always wanted to write something. Sometimes I write a whole poem for one line. There's only one line that I think is really the dopest. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if I have to write this whole poem to get this one line off, then I will, you know?
Yeah, you got those rappers that you named too, you all have the same style in the fact that you have to focus, you have to listen when you're listening to that music. You know what I'm saying? You actually could pay attention. I mean, it's enjoyable just listening and having the beats go on if you're not paying attention, but if you actually focus your ear and pay attention to what you're saying, there's so much in there, you know what I'm saying? And that just speaks to depth.
Yeah, I like to be educated, man. I want to hear something that blows my wig back.
Yes, sir.
I just want to hear something that and even if it's simple, even if it's about women or romance or money, even if it's about getting money or whatever, like say it in a clever way. Yeah. If it's clever, I dig it.
Yeah.
As long as it's clever, I could put up with rapping about money and getting rich if it's clever.
Yeah.
Right. As long as it's clever, you know what I mean? Like you could rap about bitches all day as long as it's clever. Whenever fools rap about that shit and it's fucking, you're like, oh, that's dope. You know what I mean? That's why I like battle rap. I love watching these battle rappers because they say clever. Just anything clever is just, you know, I want to be educated, or I want to hear a line that makes me be like, oh, you know, Raz Kaz is one of those deep thinkers. You know what I mean? When you listen to his music, you know what I mean? He fucking fits shit, you know. You know, you're running around in $1,000 clown suits. You better get some boots when Lucifer turns the city to Beirut. Like that shit is dope. You know what I mean? That's the, you know, MF Grimm and shit like that. You know, God moves like a snail, so death prevails. You're dead of the dude. God moves like a snail, so death prevails. Like that shit means more to me than anything. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of shit that gets me excited. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah. When you can invoke such a feeling of excitement with just a few words, or like just a couple, the right words put together, that's dope.
Man, let me tell you, I've told this story many a time, but I'll tell you real quick. The greatest rap line for me is just a personal thing. Personal, nobody else really gets this. But to me, when my homie Rob One passed away in 2000 from the Shapeshifters, DJ Rob One, when he died, at his funeral, we're like in line. It's like an open casket. Everybody's, you know, saying our goodbyes. Raka from the Dilated Peoples, who's one of my closest friends, is standing in front of me. And, you know, he was really close with Rob. I was really close with Rob. He was my DJ. And we were fucking in line to, you know, and people were putting things inside Rob's casket. Okay. I had a bracelet that my mom had given me that had my name on it. So Alejandro, you know, I ripped the bracelet off my arm, threw it in the casket. Raka, who was right in front of me, when he went up to say bye, I saw him put a cassette. I saw him put a cassette in Rob's casket, right? And at the time, it was the preview before the album ever came out. The first Dilated Peoples album was called The Platform, right?
Yeah.
And it was like a cassette, an advanced copy of The Platform, like before it came out. And he put it in the casket. Now you fast forward a couple years go by, I'm watching MTV and Dilated Peoples is like the Worst Comes to Worst remix.
Yes.
And I'm watching this shit, right? And in the remix, Raka goes, I buried Rob One with a copy of Platform. So when you go to heaven, your homie played that for him.
Yes. Oh.
And that shit sent chills down my spine, bro.
I just got goosebumps right now when you said it, bro.
Straight up, I felt it, dude.
Right. And so that to me is the everything in hip hop. That is the most, that kind of shit is like, that's what hip hop is to me. It's not, I'm the freshest, I got bitches, I got money, I got the man, say something that impactful. Probably 2 to 3 people saw that happen.
Right.
Like Rocky, there's no popularity in him saying that.
Right.
There's no like, he probably didn't even notice if anybody saw that. But he felt compelled to put that in the air. And it was like, I buried Rob One with a copy of Platform. So when you go to heaven, your homie play that for him. And I was like, that to me is like, that's what I strive for.
Yes.
To make something, to write impactful shit like that, you know, to make myself happy, not really anybody else.
Right. Know? It's that purest, like reflection of yourself and like what you're trying to say without any, I don't know, outside pressure, I guess, that makes it like the most meaningful.
Yeah. Like you referenced ghostwriting songs for God, the first song, right?
Yeah.
What's it called? I forgot what the first song's even called.
Goo Goo Gaga, isn't it?
Huh?
Isn't it Goo Goo Gaga? Maybe I'm wrong.
Goo Goo Gaga, you know, so that song, you know, there's so much, there's personal shit in there that just doesn't mean anything to anybody but me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like, those are the songs that make, you know, at the end of the song, it says, you know, to have an opinion, you know, to be able to do whatever I want instead of what's trendy at the time. You know, my poetry has no time to care if you have the time, you know, like to be able to make something without the approval of others.
Right.
That to me is the best. Like, I don't need anyone's approval, friends or anybody. I never got approval when we were I was getting clowned when I was writing in the 90s. My Mexican homies were like, what the fuck are you talking about? They're over here bumping gangster shit. And then they're like, my homies used to clown me when I was rapping. They were like, you know, exchanging acronyms for accolades. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And you know what I mean? They would be like, I don't get it. And so it was like, well, it's not for you to get. You know, it's like when someone comes up to me, when someone every now and then, or even online, a lot more, you know, on Instagram or whatever, but when someone comes up to me and spits a line back to me of something that it would be hard to figure out and they figure it out, that to me is dope. Because it might just be one person that gets it. And it's like, oh, you got it. Like, it brings such a smile to my face when someone's like, you know, hey, I heard this thing. Did you mean this?
Yeah.
Go, oh, yeah, you got that. And he was like, ah. And it's like me and this one random ass person that I don't know, he got it. You know, when I listen to De La Soul or Camp Lo or all these rappers that used to rap in codes, and I would listen to something 50 times and then after the 50th time, get it. Like, oh, you're talking about this. I didn't get it over and over and over. Then I didn't get it. And then you get it. It's just the power of that is a lot for me. That's what makes me happy, you know?
Hell yeah, that forms an immediate connection between the listener and yourself. Like they feel like they know a piece of you because they figured it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and a lot of it is what we call inside baseball, like a bunch of shit that only you know about. Or I do a lot of things where like not too many people are even meant to. I don't give a fuck. It's not for you to get, and then if you get it, you're like, you know, I like when someone calls me and says, "Oh my God, you said this, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "You meant this," and I was like, "Oh, you get it." And that shit just means the world to me.
That's the thing right there is with lyrics and poetry, and like. I don't know, just I guess art in a lot of different forms, but specifically like words. People can interpret them whatever way they want to interpret them to their own lives or like what they see fitting. But when someone actually can kind of pick out what you meant and that's correct, like that's crazy. Like hitting the nail on the head is kind of like it doesn't happen often.
Right.
Yeah, it's like an Easter egg in a movie, you know?
Totally.
Yes, exactly.
So funny, man.
Yeah. So to me, I take a lot of pride when it makes me feel good because it means that someone listened to it in a deeper way of just like, oh, it's like whatever, you know, it's like they get it, you know, it's, it's dope.
Before we move on, we got a couple of things I want to talk about outside of music, like that you've been doing. But I had a story I wanted to share. One time, when I was on Grim Image Records, how we ended up meeting each other. I was over at the studio working with Solia on my EP Words with Friends, and it was all tracks that I had done with like other artists and all of that. And you were over there. And you had agreed to do a song with me, like Sully set it up and everything, and we were there. And I'm sitting in the living room writing, like Sully's got the beat, and I'm sitting there writing for like an hour, trying to get my verse down, get my 16, because I'm performing with doing a song with 2MEX. This better be the hardest shit I've ever pulled. You know what I'm saying? And you rolled up and you're like, "Yo, what's up? Yeah, let's do this." And you just stepped in the booth. You like rattled a couple of lines off and you're like, "Oh, I got this." And boom, a 16 bars came out. Like you didn't worry. We weren't worried about writing. You weren't worried about it. And it was the hardest shit ever. Just flowed right out of you, bro. And at that moment, I remember thinking like, dude, this fool just oozes hip hop. Like I have to try at this shit. I have to sit down and like churn through it with my brain. And you just ooze it, bro. Like you just live it. It is part of you. And it was so evident to me that day.
Well, it's just, I mean, it's like when that whole concept of practice makes perfect, right?
Yeah.
Well, shit, bro. I lived in a studio with D-Ski for 13 years. Look, I lived in a studio with D-Ski. D-Ski had a studio. There was times where Life Rexall had a studio in the kitchen. I lived with another cat there named Subtitle. Subtitle had a studio. So we had 3 studios in a house for 13 years. Then when I clicked up with Grim, there's a studio at the ranch, and Sully got a studio, and then I live right here in Long Beach. My boy Filiano's got a studio literally 1 foot away. So it was like, I've always been around studios, and you're always recording, so it becomes a daily exercise. That's why I write rhymes on now that I don't record. I don't record as much at all. My I went down. I don't do it like I used to. I used to record songs every week, but like if I can't record every week, at least I'm doing a poem,
Yeah, for sure. Keeping
so
that,
it's like, you know what I mean? At least you're doing a poem, and that's like, what matters,
keeping that muscle memory up, right?
I lost your picture. You see my picture still?
Yeah, we still see you.
Okay, cool. I just you're just like a black screen right now. It says Jim Cox.
Oh dang. Hopefully it reconnects over here.
Yeah, I think it'll be all right. It'll come through.
Cool. Anyway, but yeah, man. So that to me was like, it becomes a daily exercise. So when it becomes an exercise, that's how I learned to write faster, because shit, if you're writing a rhyme 3 times a week, 4 times a week.
Yeah, you better be getting better at it.
Later, 10 years later, there was so many situations where I was in somebody's house, not even expecting to be on a song, either in my house or in somebody's house. And it's like, hey, you want to, I live with D-Ski. So imagine every rapper that went into the studio with D-Ski, right? So imagine all of them are like, oh, 2MEX lives in the next room. Knock on the door. Hey, what's up, 2MEX? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it was easier or like sometimes through the wall, I would hear D-Ski working on a song with somebody, and if it was hot, I walk in there voluntarily, like, what's up? Can I get on this shit? This shit is fire, So it was like, when you make hip hop your life completely, then that's the kind of, you were around that environment. It wasn't nothing normal to jump in the booth and rap, Yeah.
No,
that nervousness goes away quick.
Hey, well, throughout the years, you obviously adopted it into you, because that day was just like, it was mind blowing to me, bro. You know what I mean? It was one of those things like, wow, it really does exist for real. Like, it's not just a story. You know what I'm saying? It was tight. But I wanted to talk. We interviewed Sully last season about Shoe Wednesday, and we talked about some of the stuff that you guys were doing and how that got started, but I wanted to get your take on Shoe Wednesday as well. Like he kind of mentioned how the organic nature of how it came about, how he was down and out, and you were like, let's go, fool, let's go buy some shoes, you're going to help out a homie just to make him have a better day. And I thought that was the most like incredible way to start something like Shoe Wednesday. But I wanted to get your take on that because Sully was like, dude, it was 2MEX being the homie. But I know that couldn't have been like your goal to start this whole like Shoe Wednesday thing just by helping out a homie. You know what I mean?
No, it did. It did. It was like what happened was, obviously, like I said, I've been sick I've always been a shoe head, like wanting to be a shoe head. And you were always like I was always into shoes.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened was between the pandemic and getting sick, I wasn't out much. So then I needed exercise. So out here in LA, I started going to the mall by myself all the time. Started going to Fox Hills Mall, started going to Lakewood Mall right here and by Long Beach. And I just started going to the mall for exercise because the mall, it's indoors, air conditioned, there's bathrooms, whatever.
Yeah.
And I would just walk around the mall. Well, what the fuck am I going to do? Walk around the mall and not buy shit? So then I started buying myself some clothes. I was like, you know what? Man, I dress bummy. I was like, I have money to buy shit. So I started buying myself some outfits. And then I got to this thing where I was like, started buying myself some kicks. And then I was telling Sully, I was like, man, I love living in San Bernardino. I only moved away from San Bernardino because my parents are in their 70s and I needed to live closer to them. So I love Dino. And I would be like, I'm gonna go there every Wednesday. And I was like, dude, my money was right. And I was like, how am I gonna go buy a pair of shoes and not buy you a pair? Like, that's my homie,
Yep. So
then I started I must have bought Sully like 20 pairs of kicks,
Yeah.
So then it became like, I'm buying a pair of shoes for me and you this week. And so every week I was fucking buying us a pair of shoes. And then somewhere along the way, we're like, man, it wasn't even like, oh, we're spending all this money on shoes. It was making us happy because we're like, oh, we're shoe heads. This shit's tight.
Yeah.
I have somebody to be a shoe head with the same way you're like a toy collector or into this and that.
Yeah.
Sully has always been good to me. Sully let me live with him.
Yep.
Sully let me live with him for free. Sully would record me so many fucking dozens and dozens of times for free.
Yep.
So it was not like I was buying him shoes, like I was doing him some favors. Sully been doing me favors for years. And Sully let me live over there.
No joke, there's not a better deserving person too, man. Sully is such a good dude, bro.
One of the greatest things that come, the greatest thing that come out of my experience with Grim Image is meeting Craig and Sully. That's it. Sure. Craig and Sully, to this day, I almost speak to them every day. And you're talking to a guy that's really blessed. I have some really fantastic friends, bro. D-Ski, Life Rex, Saw, and other Kiku. I have a bunch of great, loyal, everyday friends. And Sully and Craig are the two out of the whole experience with Grim, as well as, a lot of those other cats, you know what I mean? Yeah. Fucking everybody from electrical to fucking shit, you know what I mean? People already knew like Barfly and, shit like that. But it was like them two in particular, like Sully used to let me live over there. Sully would record me for free. Sully would do me a gang of favors that are like, he helped me with my band camp. I mean, Sully helped me pay my rent for a long time, bro.
Yeah.
So it was like, naturally we did that. And then the idea came to me of like, well, shit, why don't we give a pair of shoes away every week? But then if we do it as a $5 membership site, then eventually these shoes will pay for themselves.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And we can give shit away. So that's it. That's really where it came from. But it just came from me wanting to get some exercise. The pandemic had me fucked up and I've been sick and just not doing shit. So I started going to the mall a lot to get exercise. It would be the only time I would get exercise if I took my ass to the mall and walked. And so I might as well go kick it with Sully. So now the routine is on Wednesdays, I go see Sully. We go get some food at DJs and shit. Yeah, we go to now we used to get German food every week, but now we just go. I can't eat potatoes like that no more.
The best of the worst. That spot is amazing.
That German deli spot.
Yeah. Oh, dude, because of what I go through, they're like, kick back on the potatoes, kick back on this. So then I started going to DJs because I've been going there because of all of them. And so, dude, we go to DJs, we go eat, we go see Craig, go kick it at Craig's house for a little bit, kick it with him when he can. And then we go to the mall and exercise, walk around, go shoe shopping and shit. And then, you know, either I'd go home or go to the casino and go fuck around and gamble, or I would just get a room and stay out there because I like being out there. So on Wednesdays, I would get a room and, you know, go see Sully, get shoes, do all that shit, see Craig, eat, kick it, feel like I had a day with my friends. And then at night, just get a room, watch TV, sleep, chill, invite other people. You know what I mean? Talk to broads, you know what I mean?
No,
that's, what I mean? I have a lot of homegirls out there who go fucking be like, come over and let's smoke and chill, you know?
Yeah.
So shit like that, man. So it became a thing like that. That's all. And now after we got so into buying shoes, we're like, all right, between me and you, we got like 60 pairs of shoes. Let's get this shit popping.
Yeah, that's cool,
now
man.
Now we're like trying to get it done and shit, you know?
No, that's way tight. I'm glad that you enjoy being out in the Dino, bro. The Dino is my hometown.
I would still be living there. It's just like I said, my parents in their 70s, and I don't like them driving. My parents are always worried about me because I'm sick. So it's like I don't like them. The few times they came all the way from, I mean, they live in LA, mid-city. Right. So for them to go all the way from the heart of LA to San Bernardino to see me my dad's 78, 79, you know what I mean? It's just not worth it. Totally. So I had to move back this way. So luckily through my other homie, Filiano, I was like, yo, I'm moving back towards LA. And my boy Filiano was like, I got an apartment right here for fucking cheap. And dude, he gives me like the homie rate. I got a fucking great place in Long Beach with a front yard, a backyard. It's fucking awesome.
Damn, that's real cool, man. Well, I think the common theme of today's interview with you has been like people helping people, bro. Like real recognize real. You were so invested in your friendship. You've cultivated relationships throughout your whole career that have paid off dividends on both sides. You know what I'm saying? Like you help, they help. And it's like that very reciprocal, like I want to help you because you're my friend, not like transactional. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really cool to see investments in people, investments in relationships pay off in ways that you could never ever expect. You know what I'm saying? It's just rad to hear.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You know, Craig, Grim Image kept me financially afloat for a couple of years, you know?
Yeah.
More than a couple of years. And then that kind of went away, but me and Craig stayed friends. And then Craig started hitting me up like, yo, what do you know about NFTs? And, you know, me and him have a common friendship when it comes to music, wrestling. We're both into wrestling, fucking toys. We're both into toys. So then when he was like putting me up on the NFTs, I was like, I'm into crypto, but he had put me up on NFTs. And I was like, once he showed me, I was like, that's dope. And then, of course, my natural hustle is like, well, that's cool that we collect them. Why don't we make our own company?
Yeah.
You know, AWOL one as a graphic artist and a talented person was the final piece in that. And so AWOL, Craig and myself have Secret Saviors. And then, like I said, Sully's pretty much, even though he wasn't part of the inception of the company, Sully's like the main, other than me, AWOL, and Craig, Sully and now Life Rex are the main contributors too. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to, if we could expand and it's something that gets bigger, then there's Pablo there, there's, you know, D-Ski, all the same good people that have always been, you know what I mean?
I like too what Sully just did recently with his NFT like pack where you're getting tracks of songs that go along with it. It's not just like a baseball card. You're actually getting some music with it.
Yeah, well, they call it a utility. Like people were tired of NFTs just being like a picture. Like, what is the purpose of the NFT? What kind of utility does it have? And it's like you can use the card. We're learning as we go. We've only been a company for a year plus, so we're like, oh, the cards need to have utility. So then we're like, put music to them, and then also like we're creating cards that if you collect them and you burn them, meaning that you destroy them, it'll give you energy to play video games.
Oh, trip
So shit
out.
like that, you know what I mean? We're like, as we learn, we're learning more. And the crazy shit is, if you know Craig, if you know anything about, you were on Grim,
Yeah.
you know that Craig was just more of a funder, right?
Right.
He was like the money man for Grim, right?
Yeah.
Nah, not for Secret Saviors, bro. This fool does work.
That's
Hell yeah.
tight
Hours
to
and
hear.
hours of technical work. Like Craig is invested in Secret Saviors, like he's the CEO and an employee. In
Mhm.
fact,
Word.
he does next to Tony, who does all the graphics and shit. Craig does all and is actually creating the end. Like he does the tech work. Like,
Dope.
let me buy a laptop and do this shit. So it's crazy because different than Grim, where he was just, let's say, the funder and just, the homie. No, he's really hands down on this shit. And so it's dope because it almost, as a dude like him with all those resources, it gives him a purpose too.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Besides being like the homie that can fund the shit.
Right.
It's like, nah, he's fucking 10 toes down in this bitch, like working on this shit. So
No,
it's dope. You know what I mean?
That's really cool to hear, man.
I'm sure it is like, it means a lot to him too, because like, I don't know Craig that well. I've met him once or twice through Jim, but his infinity for like toys and like collectibles and shit, like it makes sense. Like the NFT thing would be right up his alley because it's kind of like that next wave of like collectibles.
Totally. Well, it's like collectibles, like the future, obviously, whether we like it or not, the future is cybernetics, digital, artificial intelligence, whether we like it or not, we can't fight that shit. So digital collectibles make a lot of sense because collecting art digitally, it won't get destroyed. The biggest issue with collectibles is what happens 30 years into it.
Yeah.
Paintings fade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shit gets stolen, shit gets old, shit crumbles and disintegrates. And all these tangible pieces of art lose their value when they disintegrate.
Yep.
You could have fucking 50 crates of records, then a flood comes to your basement and your collection's dead.
Yep.
Well, that's like the most expensive baseball card, like forever, was that Hornus Wagner card. When I was like a kid, it was like this ball player you never heard of, like more than a Mickey Mantle or Joe DiMaggio or any of that shit. And I was like, why was that so expensive? My pops was like, because they used to give them in cigar boxes and they weren't really worth much. And all the rest of them got destroyed. And so now there's only 10 in circulation or some shit. So they're worth all this money. And it's like, I don't know. It's crazy to think about that. Like that digital blockchain thing is just like the next wave in that evolution of like collectibles and value.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because it's once again with the utility, it suits a dual purpose. Not only is it a piece of art, but because it's branded by crypto, then it's a good place to put your money because you can actually see the fluctuation of the value of it as you buy the piece of art. You know what I mean? Depending on the rarity of it and the demand.
Right.
So you know what I mean? So it's like it's just art collecting, futuristic, digital. And like I said, everybody's interested in digital art. Well, not everybody, but people are interested in digital art because it's not gonna disintegrate.
Right.
And it's a good place to put your money in a safe place, even though there's a lot of propaganda to destroy it. The government, I've been watching commercials where because the government shouldn't even be able to tax crypto, but now they're starting, for all the laymen that don't know, they're starting to create propaganda. That's when something's going to blow up, when the government starts propagandaing its demise. That just means that they're trying to break it down so that they can get into it and control it.
They got to capitalize on it before it
just
can get
like
big.
Marijuana, just like the internet, just like everything. So it's like when the government starts disparaging something, it's kind of like get in on it, because that just means that in the future it's going to blow up again. They're just trying to knock it down so they can get all these people to go away.
Hell yeah. So one more time, it's the Secret Saviors of Underground Hip Hop. Where can people find that at? Is that the site?
We have a website called ssohiphop.com. Secret Saviors of SSO Hip Hop.
Okay.
And most of our stuff is on basically the biggest NFT store. It's a superstore. It's kind of like the Walmart of NFTs. It's called atomichub.io. And we're certified. We're whitelisted with them. We're actually like legit, a legit company under that banner. So our products are there, our NFTs are there, and it's like, yeah, we're man, we've been collabing with some of the biggest companies. There's a company called the Blockchain Heroes, which is like the basis of why me and Craig even got into this shit. And like we're collabing with them. Craig, dude, they made a card for Craig called Lord Grim, which is it's like literally it's a drawing of Craig with the Grim image as his face. And it's actually one of the cards that they use to promote the series.
That's dope.
So it's literally like the cover of the pack.
That's way tight.
That's where Craig has gone, to the point where Craig's face is the cover of the pack.
I love hearing that, bro. I mean,
that shit is fucking amazing.
Wild. Yeah.
And the reason he's that is because it's called ascending. He's like his collection is so healthy, and he collects all that shit. He supports all these companies to the fullest. So they reward him by making him a card and making him money.
Yeah. No, that's super tight, bro. I'm glad to hear that kind of appreciation is out there, and that Craig is getting so involved too, man. That's super cool that he's doing the work. Next time you see that guy, make sure you tell him what's up for me, man. I miss him. I ain't seen him in years, but I definitely think about him.
Man. I think I hope if everything goes okay, I'll see him on Wednesday. I go pretty much I talk to him on the phone every day almost, but pretty much on Wednesdays, we stop by his house for like 30 just to say what's up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Go see what up and shit like that. Once a month, we go see him. We go see him to go get like our paycheck or whatever. We're like get a little paycheck, and then every time I go out there, if he's around, if he's not busy with the kids, we just be like, hey, I'm gonna slide through, and we just stop by and chit chat about Secret Saver business or wrestling or some stupid shit. I mean, we're still kids, you know.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Talking about the shit we like, you know.
Well, shit, we're just about coming up on time right now, dude. I really appreciate you making so much time and speaking so openly and honestly with us about everything. It was rad catching up, bro.
Word up, man. Well, I appreciate you, man.
Before we go, you have anything that coming up that you'd like to promote? Anything that you want to let people know about? Obviously, Secret Saviors of Hip Hop is a huge thing. Wednesday.
Yeah. Like I said, I got a show March 4th in the city of Santa Ana. My good people from Out the House Productions, who we you know, because of the way my condition or whatever, I don't play a lot anymore, but we trying to do kind of like a once a year thing now with them. So last show was uber successful. It was me, AWOL, and Elemento. And this year we're doing on March 4th, we're doing myself with Radio Inactive, Exist Stereo, my boy Filiano, and this dude Kill C-Ray from San Diego. So yeah, we're throwing a show.
Oh yeah,
that's a dope lineup, bro.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. Just keep it family and shit. And yeah, we got a show March 4th in Santa Ana, La Santa. And other than that, yeah, Secret Saviors, Shoe Wednesday, the book. I mean, there's always so much. I'm always just, like I said, trying to, you know, my Bandcamp. I'm always trying to get people to listen to the music and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty much, man. There's always, if you follow me on IG, you know, you get to see the fuckery. You know what I mean? There's always good shit. You know, I try to put poems on there. I try to put funny shit on there. I try to like just keep it interesting, social commentary, you know, on what's happening with TikTok and, you know, the short attention span, you know, all this shit, you know what I mean? You could always find me commenting on what I see is happening with the future and shit, you know? I'm kind of a futurist. So I'm always trying to like point out shit to people, like pay attention to this shit. Pay attention to what's happening to make sure that you're not getting sucked up in this, you know, mindless social media bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Always aware.
Dude, well, thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure meeting you. Great talking to you.
For sure, man. I'll see you again for sure.
Yeah, well, shit. Chances are me and Jim will be at that show on the 4th. That sounds like a good ass time.
Yeah, it does.
Word. Yeah, man. Come out, man. It'll be a dope thing.
Cool.
Hell yeah, man. Well, we're going to do a quick outro here. I really appreciate you being here, man. And next time you're around the Dino or over in Highland, hit me up. I'm right here in Redlands. Let's go grab some lunch or something.
Yeah. Well, shoot me and Sully a call Wednesday, man. I'm usually with Sully like around noon to 1 o'clock. Just shoot us a call.
Dude. I will do that, bro.
All right, man.
All right,
All
take
right,
care.
brother.
Thanks
You take
again,
care,
Alex.
man. Thank you.
Take care, man.
No worries, man. Late.
Yeah, this has been another episode of the Rat Nest Podcast. You can catch us every week on Fridays, YouTube for the video, and anywhere you get your or your podcasts, you can stream us for the audio. Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, and more. Go to ratneststickerco.com for prints, shirts, stickers, zines, comics, and anything else that we might have going on. Jim, you got anything?
Nope.
All right, we'll see you next week.